Akash is a pianist who, in search of creative inspiration, disguises himself as a blind person. To better experience the life of a blind person, he wears gray contact lenses to block out light and often wears an eye mask at home, imitating the behavior of a blind person. One day, while crossing the street, he is knocked down by a girl riding a motorcycle. The girl's name is Sophie, and she apologizes to him with a guilty face. Learning that he is unemployed, Sophie invites him to play part-time at her family's restaurant. Thus, Akash not only finds a job but also unexpectedly embarks on a romantic journey. With his superb piano skills and blind identity, Akash quickly gained popularity in the restaurant and met a former Bollywood star and now real estate tycoon, Pramod. Pramod invited Akash to his home for a private performance to celebrate his and his wife's anniversary, and paid a deposit in advance. Akash excitedly accepted the invitation. However, when he arrived at Pramod's house at the agreed time, it was Pramod's wife, Simi, who opened the door. Simi looked nervous and said Pramod was away on a business trip, asked him to come another day. Akash was confused, as they had just agreed on the time last night, so why was Pramod away today? Their conversation caught the attention of an elderly neighbor, and Simi had to let Akash into the house and call her husband to confirm Akash's identity. After hanging up the phone, Simi once again confirmed whether Akash was completely blind. Akash lied that he had been hit in the head with a baseball at 14, damaging his retina and becoming blind since then. Only then did Simi relax. Akash began to play, and the melodious piano music was intoxicating. The performance ended, but Akash's smile froze because he saw a corpse lying in the middle of the living room. To hide his panic, Akash asked to use the restroom. Simi helped him through the living room into the bathroom. After closing the door, he thought he could breathe a sigh of relief, but to his surprise, a burly man with a gun was standing there. Under immense pressure, Akash used the bathroom and came out, realizing that the corpse on the floor was Simi's husband, shot in the neck and dead. Akash guessed that Pramod must have come home early to surprise his wife but instead found her with her lover. Seeing their affair exposed, the lover brutally killed Pramod. Akash had to pretend to be calm and continued playing the piano, witnessing the entire process of them handling the body. They hid the body in a suitcase and even took off Pramod's expensive watch. Despite his shock, Akash didn't reveal any flaws due to his long experience of pretending to be blind. Finally, Simi played a voice message of Pramod, pretending he was going out for business to end the performance. After leaving the rich man's house, Akash pondered and decided to report the murder. At the police station, he was horrified to find that the chief was Simi's lover. The chief recognized Akash and became suspicious. In a hurry, Akash made up a story about his cat being killed by a neighbor's child. The other police thought he was causing trouble, but the chief grew suspicious and decided to personally take Akash home to verify his story. At his home, the chief found the day's newspaper on the table and questioned why a blind man would need a newspaper. Akash explained that the newspaper was for his cat to defecate on. The chief didn't believe him, picked up a fruit knife nearby, and prepared to test whether Akash was truly blind. Apart from a slight tremble at the sound, Akash didn't dodge at all. The chief was deceived and believed that Akash was indeed blind. Then, he disposed of the rich man's body in a small river. A few days later, Pramod's body was discovered, and the death of the big star caused a major stir in society. Simi lied to reporters, claiming her husband left for business with 10 million rupees in cash and then went missing. Since the cash and jewelry were gone when the body was found, the police classified the case as a murder due to a financial dispute. That night, a drunkard in a bar's restroom accidentally found Pramod's watch and was arrested by the police, becoming the scapegoat for the case. At Pramod's funeral, Akash was invited to play the piano. Pramod's daughter, Dani, devastated by her father's favorite song, asked Akash to teach her how to play it. Feeling guilty towards Pramod, Akash agreed to Dani's request. It seemed that the matter would end there, but Pramod's elderly neighbor provided crucial testimony to the police. She had seen two men enter Pramod's house, one a burly man and the other apparently blind. Confronted by the police, Simi claimed a delivery man had come that day. The police were skeptical and informed the chief, who was outwardly calm but internally panicked. He immediately contacted Simi to inform her of the situation. The next day, Akash returned to the rich man's house to teach piano to the daughter. However, as the elevator door opened, he witnessed a shocking scene. Akash, who saw this, was terrified but had to continue pretending he saw nothing. Soon after, the police arrived and ruled the old lady's death as an accidental fall. Back home, Akash frantically called his girlfriend Sophie, intending to tell her the truth. A young boy downstairs, seeing Akash's panic, secretly filmed him with his phone. Meanwhile, Simi arrived at Akash's home, seeking to verify whether he was truly blind. After a cautious conversation and some testing, Simi seemed to believe Akash's claim of being blind. Then, she tried a different approach but Akash showed no reaction. However, to be absolutely sure, Simi poisoned the coffee in front of Akash. Knowing it was poisoned, Akash couldn't drink it. Despite his acting prowess, he had no choice but to put down the cup and pretend to accidentally spill it. But when Simi pulled out a gun, Akash gave himself away. Simi claimed that Pramod's death was an accident and that she never intended to kill her husband, and the old lady's death was a forced decision. Akash swore to Simi he wouldn't tell anyone about these events and would leave the city the next day. As soon as he said this, Akash collapsed. It turned out the snack Simi gave him upon entering was drugged. Soon after, Sophie came to Akash's house and saw the video the boy took, showing Akash was not blind. Furious, she rang the bell, and a half-dressed Simi answered. Mistakenly thinking Akash lied and betrayed her, Sophie angrily left. That night, Akash woke up to find he had actually become blind. Simi had damaged his sight with poison. Feeling safe that no one would believe a blind man, Simi left. However, learning that Akash had pretended to be blind, the chief decided to eliminate him. After a struggle, Akash escaped by jumping out a window. Now truly blind, he found it extremely difficult and eventually fainted after hitting an electric pole. Upon waking up again, Akash found himself in a clinic. His rescuers were a woman he had met on the street and her husband, who drove a rickshaw. This clinic specialized in organ trafficking using homeless people. They planned to sell Akash's kidneys for 200,000 rupees. However, during the operation, Akash struggled and promised them 10 million rupees, swearing on the Shiva tattoo on the woman's hand. Shocked at how a blind man knew of her tattoo, she halted the surgery. Akash told them about how Simi and the chief murdered Pramod and suggested using this information to blackmail the chief for ransom. In exchange, he asked for a cornea transplant. They agreed. The next day, Akash went back to the rich man's house to teach piano. Simi, curious about his real intentions, agreed to take him home. Along the way, their path was blocked by a rickshaw, and together they kidnapped Simi. They then contacted the chief and demanded a ransom of 10 million rupees. They threatened to expose the murder if their demands were not met. During the wait for the ransom, Akash's situation became more perilous, as he was now just an organ-selling object to the kidnappers. The chief eventually arrived with the money, but an unexpected turn of events occurred. The chief killed the woman's husband but was then trapped in an elevator by her. Discovering the money was fake, she descended into madness. Meanwhile, Akash and Simi began looking for ways to save themselves. They formed a temporary alliance, with Simi helping Akash untie himself. However, being blind, Akash couldn't find the exit and relied on Simi's guidance. Once free, Simi betrayed Akash, intending to kill him. Just then, the doctor came to take Simi away but was knocked out by her. Fortunately, Akash managed to hold Simi, allowing the doctor to sedate her. Afterward, the doctor, grateful to Akash for saving him, promised to treat his eyes. He also revealed a new plan, to sell Simi's organs. Since Simi is a rare panda blood type, it just so happens that someone on the black market is asking for such organs at a high price. By delivering Simi to the buyer at the airport, they would receive 60 million rupees, a third of which he offered to Akash. With that, the two drove off into the distance, leaving only a large tree shaped like a liver in the picture. 2 years later, in a London pub, Sophie unexpectedly encountered Akash. He shared with her his complex experiences and the events that followed. On the day the doctor suggested selling Simi's organs, Akash vehemently argued against it, insisting that despite Simi's crimes, it was up to the police to administer justice. The doctor disagreed, and as they argued, Simi woke up as the anesthesia wore off. The doctor got out to re-administer the anesthetic, but Simi turned the tables and killed him. Simi then drove the car, unbeknownst to Akash, who was still pleading with the doctor to release Simi. Seemingly moved by Akash's kindness, Simi let him out of the car. However, shortly after driving away, she regretted her decision and turned the car around, speeding towards Akash. At that moment, a rabbit startled by a hunter's gunshot leaped up, causing Simi to swerve and crash, leading to her death. Akash miraculously survived and, with the help of a friend, relocated to London to start a new life. Sophie, hearing this ending, felt sympathy for him. Akash, in silence, turned and walked away. As he reached a corner, he precisely kicked a can on the ground. The movie ends here, leaving us with an open-ended conclusion. As for whether Akash's story is true, I personally believe it is not. This is because people often place themselves in a position of innocence and nobility when narrating their own stories. Therefore, one should not seek the truth of a matter solely from someone's narration, especially when they are telling their own story. What do you think about this? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. This film is Andhadhun, released in India in 2018, and adapted from the French short film L'Accordeur. A good movie is worth your time and reflection. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.